Svetlana sat on the sofa in a cozy apartment, looking at Arkady, who was enthusiastically talking about his plans for the future. They were preparing for the wedding, and everything seemed perfect. He was caring, attentive, and always tried to make her happy. But that evening, as she listened to him, something inside her began to tremble anxiously. Arkady, with his always optimistic attitude, talked about how they would live together, how they would furnish the house and plan to have children. His eyes shone with enthusiasm, but Svetlana felt her heart squeeze. She couldn't understand why, but there was a note in his words that she didn't like. "You know, I've always dreamed of a big family," he said, smiling. 2, maybe 3 children. We will be happy, and I will do everything to provide for you. Svetlana bit her lip, her thoughts racing. She had always wanted children, but at the moment she was worried about one phrase that Arkady had said. "I will do everything to provide for you," she repeated to herself. And there was something commanding in that statement that made her doubt. She remembered how often he talked about his successes at work and how much time he spent in the office. Svetlana had always supported his ambitions, but now she was afraid. Would he become too absorbed in his success, forgetting about her and their feelings? "Arkady," she said quietly, trying to collect her thoughts. "What if things don't work out the way you plan?" He paused, his face changing slightly. "How can it not work out?" he asked, his voice sounding confident, but his eyes flickering with bewilderment. "I mean, life is unpredictable. What if we have difficulties? You always say that everything will be fine, but what if it's not?" Arkady frowned, and Svetlana felt his confidence begin to waver. "Sveta, what are you talking about? We can handle any situation. We have plans. We have a future," he said, but his voice no longer held the same confidence. Svetlana knew that she was not talking about empty fears, but about the reality that could overtake anyone. Her inner voice told her that perhaps they were too immersed in dreams, and real life could turn out to be completely different. "I just want us to be prepared for difficult times," she said, her voice becoming firm. "I don't want to be alone when problems arise." Arkady looked at her, and Svetlana suddenly realized that her words had hurt him. He was not ready for such frankness. "You know I'll always be there," he said, trying to calm her down. "I'm not going to leave you." But Svetlana felt that this was not quite what she wanted to hear. She was looking not just for promises, but for confidence that they could overcome any obstacles together, and that his ambitions would not be an obstacle to their relationship. "Arkady," she said quietly but firmly, "I want us to be equal partners. I don't want to feel dependent on your decisions and plans." Her words hung in the air, and she saw Arkady think. He clearly hadn't expected this turn of events. "Let's discuss it," Arkady said, his voice becoming more open. "I don't want you to feel insecure." Svetlana nodded, realizing that this conversation would be an important milestone in their lives. They began to talk about their feelings, about how they saw their future together, and gradually, step by step, they built a bridge between their desires and expectations. Svetlana decided that they needed to have a deeper discussion about how they imagined their life together. She remembered how Arkady sometimes withdrew into himself when he faced difficulties at work, and this made her uneasy. "Arkady," she said, "I want you to know that if we have difficulties, I want you to share them with me. We must not hide our feelings from each other." Arkady nodded, his expression softening. "I understand," he said. "I just don't want you to worry about my problems. I want you to be happy. But I want to be a part of your life," Svetlana said, her voice softening. "I want to support you through tough times, and it's important for me to know what's going on." They continued to discuss their feelings and experiences, and Svetlana felt the tension begin to dissipate. Their conversation became more open, and she realized that Arkady had fears too, but didn't always know how to talk about them. "I always thought I had to be strong," he admitted. "I didn't want you to see me as weak." "We're all human," Svetlana replied. "And we all have our weaknesses. That's normal." Svetlana felt a deeper connection being established between them. They began to talk about how they wanted to deal with difficulties together, and this gave her confidence. She understood that their relationship was not perfect, but that did not mean that it could not become so. A few weeks passed, and Svetlana and Arkady continued to work on their communication. They met more often, discussed not only their dreams, but also their fears, and this made their relationship stronger. Svetlana noticed that Arkady became more open and willing to share his experiences. One day, when they were walking in the park, Svetlana decided to talk about specific things that were bothering them. "Arkady, how do you feel about discussing financial issues?" she asked. "We are planning to start a family, and we need to understand how we will cope with expenses." Arkady stopped and thought. "It is really important," he said. "I always thought that it would be easier than it actually is." Svetlana nodded, realizing that this question could cause tension. "Let's just discuss it openly," she suggested. "I don't want money to be a cause of conflict." They started discussing their financial goals and dreams. Svetlana told him about her plans to open a small business, and Arkady shared his ambitions at work. Gradually, they began to understand that they could work together to achieve their goals. "If we are honest with each other, it will help us avoid many problems," Svetlana said, feeling their connection becoming even stronger. Arkady agreed, and they continued discussing their plans. Svetlana noticed that he became more confident in his words, and this made her happy. A few more months passed, and Svetlana felt that their relationship was getting stronger. They overcame difficulties together and could openly discuss their feelings. Svetlana realized that this was what was really important to her, to be part of a team. One day when they were preparing for the wedding, Svetlana decided that it was time to talk about her expectations again. Arkady, I need you to know that I don't expect you to be perfect, she began. I just want us to be there for each other when we need to be. I understand, he replied, his eyes shining with understanding. I'm not perfect either, and I have my fears, but I'm willing to work on myself for us. Svetlana felt her heart fill with warmth. She knew that their relationship required effort, but at the same time, it could be stronger than ever. That evening, sitting on the couch and discussing their dreams, they both realized that their life together would be full of challenges, but they were ready for it. Svetlana felt that they were becoming true partners, ready to support each other. Some time passed, and they began to prepare for the wedding. Svetlana felt that they had everything they needed to be happy. She realized that their relationship had become deeper and stronger, and this gave her confidence. On their wedding day, standing at the altar, Svetlana looked into Arkady's eyes and realized that this was the beginning of their new life. She knew that many difficulties lay ahead, but now she was sure that they would be able to overcome them together. Svetlana felt that, despite all the fears and insecurities, they had become stronger thanks to openness and honesty. And at that moment, when they said their vows, she knew that their love could overcome any obstacles.